You've likely noticed that children always find a common language among themselves. It doesn't matter where they were born, it doesn't matter what language their parents speak. But if you put two small children together, 2 or 3, it doesn't matter. They'll always find a common language. They speak their own language. In general, all children, when they're born, they speak, well, you could say in the language of ultrasound, they sort of understand each other. But there's a special category of children whom I call dolphin children. These children, in fact, they're truly unique in their brain structure, unique in their perception of the world. And they communicate right at the level, and they communicate right at the level of ultrasound. But this brilliance has another side to it, and that's hypersensitivity. Yes, they have a simply amazing intellect. Yes, they're brilliant, they can figure out anything at all. The other side is that they're very sensitive to sound. And if you suddenly raise your voice, or someone shouts in the street, or a motorcycle roars loudly, or a car honks, they they cower. For them, any increase in sound is, like a kind of energetic or even an auditory blow. So if in your family there are children with a certain birth date, be sure to pay attention to this. So what children belong to the dolphin children category? Why dolphins? Well, because they really can communicate, they perceive absolutely any information very easily. Children born on the 5th, 7th, 11th, also the 14th, 16th. Well, here the 14th and 16th are a slightly different picture. After all, they have more of a tactile level. But the 23rd, the 25th, and the 29th, these dates 100% absolutely belong here, and they also, without any doubt, belong here. These children, the ones we are talking about, are not just hypersensitive. They react sometimes quite noticeably to any increase in noise, no matter how small or subtle that increase might be. This also includes the month of May. It also includes July, and it includes November as well. All of these are part of the group, and they should definitely be considered together, as they share these same characteristics. If there are such children or grandchildren in your family, yes, pay special attention to this. If you observe such children, you'll see that when parents start raising their voices at each other, what do they start doing? Crying. When they're very small, then they start covering their ears, then they start looking for some cozy place where there won't be any noise. Why? Because even from early childhood, if they are in a noisy environment, they build up energy blocks from within so as not to hear the external environment. There have been cases where children have actual purulent abscesses from early childhood. At 3, 5 months, a year old, nothing foretells it, nothing should be wrong, but there are actual purulent abscesses. And when we start analyzing it, especially grandmothers are interested in this, and they come and ask, why does my child have this issue? And it turns out, I say, we look at the date of birth. I say the parents are fighting. Yes, I say often it can be, not exactly an unwanted marriage, but for some reason she got pregnant, or for some reason, yes, such a marriage is created, and the parents start arguing even during pregnancy or during birth. And this reflects on the fact that the child blocks the external environment in any way available to them. Then it often results in stuttering, a delay in speech. Why is the brain active but speech doesn't, let's say, form for a long time? Well, because the child doesn't know how to talk to the parent, because they start showing something, saying something, and the parents demand, say it like this, say it like that. And again, this builds up into a barrier. So first, when you have such children, definitely look, you need to speak to them calmly, quietly, so they don't perceive the external environment as aggression. And you'll see even illnesses will go away on their own. If you think they have a developmental delay or speech issues, well, try to work with them. Look, when children, for example, work in some rehabilitation center or with a coach, a tutor, they still return home to their environment, and there the same thing starts all over again. So first of all, the home environment must be good. And parents must understand that the child's future depends only on them. If a child is hypersensitive like these children, then accordingly, at home there should be an atmosphere of tranquility, and talk and work with the child together. Since these children are curious, you should learn. You can learn languages with them, and you'll learn too. You can draw with them. Thirdly, absolutely all these children are musical. So from the very birth, you can give them musical instruments. See what they like more. For some, it'll be the drums, for others, the violin. But definitely, these children are gifted musicians. That's not even up for debate. Vocals, music, this is what will help them, well, maintain this world of theirs, a unique one for a very long time. Why do I say maintain? Because children are born in their own world, and parents like you and me, we drag children into our world. After all, most parents live in the 20th century, and there was a completely different energy there. There were completely different relationships. Everything was different. And it turns out that the child was born in one world, but is gradually, forcibly moved into another world. Now I'm going to ask you to write in the comments who agrees with what I've just said. And by building relationships with such unique children, well, and not even just them, with any child, by building relationships, parents rise to the child's level, because all children always, in 100% of cases, come into life with a status higher than their parents. It's always like that, absolutely always. By the way, if you think otherwise, write it down. Any opinion at all is welcome. And by building relationships this way, parents rise to the child's level, because all children bring information on how parents should live, like what qualities to activate in order to live peacefully there in 20, in 30 years. This can even be said based on the fact that almost always in groups of parents, well, I call it the karmic row, the same groups of children are duplicated. So essentially, we have transitions of interchangeable groups. And this is exactly what shows that a child came into the family for a very good reason. This happens in at least 80% of cases. But in any case, the first important thing to do, check if you have a child born on the 5th, 7th, 11th, especially the 23rd, 25th, or 29th. This is especially November, May, June. And will also include the 14th and 16th here, yes. Now listen closely to what I'm saying. It's not even because these children are unique. It's just that, first of all, if these children develop energy blockages, medicine won't notice it. Medicine has no concept of energy blockages, but they will be there. And then a hearing impairment effect occurs, right? So essentially, the child is blocking their own future. And instead of becoming a brilliant, say, surgeon, many of them have such a predisposition, a brilliant inventor, a brilliant musician, say a vocalist, just a very interesting person, because this really is the birth date of brilliant children. They will start to shape a different future. Well, essentially, they often choose a path that isn't theirs. You could even say that because most people around the age of, say, 30 plus or minus 35 years start to wonder if they're even doing the right thing in life. Well, because most people choose a profession that isn't quite what they need. And accordingly, then everything starts all over again. Or there's a failure and everything starts all over again. I think many of you listening to, this video have gone through starting over at some at 30, some at 35, and some even at 40, starting life absolutely from scratch, from absolute zero. It's good if it's just from scratch. It happens that absolutely everything falls apart. And you spend some time just unable to understand what happened. This is exactly the result, in most cases, of, yes, a person doing, well, not quite what they need for a long time. That's why parents are the ones who shape the entire future. But I always say that parents choose the future for their children, and parents shape it too. Yes, such a responsible role. Moreover, children almost always choose their parents, right? And the first task children come with is to awaken their parents, to give the parents a chance to wake up. This happens when parents start building relationships with their children and understand them. That, of course, would be the ultimate achievement. Write in the comments if you have children with such birth dates. Do you feel that, well, they react sharply to sound? Maybe there are problems, right? And you've just heard how to solve this problem. I would be grateful to you. Of course, subscribe to the channel, like this video, share it on social media, follow us on our other resources. Everything is in the description of this video. Of course, come to our webinars and programs. And see you in the next video.